What's up, y'all? Y'all are listening to Living Corporate's flagship podcast. If you didn't know, Living Corporate helps organizations build employee engagement and market trust through data analytics and data transformation, our e-learning platform, and brand marketing storytelling. We're so excited for you to be here today. The conversation you're about to hear is going to connect the dots between employee experience and go-to-market effectiveness. If you're not ready, get ready. Here we go. What's up, y'all? It's Zach with Living Corporate, and for those who are new to the show, it's typical that at the end of every season, we drop a couple of pods where I share just some reflections on the year and kind of like the state of work, the state of workplace culture, and where we're headed as I think about and as we look forward to the next year, right? So we're recording this. It's December 2025. And listen, I can't lie and say that this year has been great. This year has been tough, y'all. And when I say tough defined by what? Tough defined by the price of things, like affordability, right? Like just how much it costs to live. Tough as it pertains to our political landscape, right? The language and the actions that we're seeing from the presidential administration. Tough as it pertains to workplace, right? There's been 1.4 million layoffs this year, or job eliminations this year. At the forefront of those are Black folks. At the forefront of that, Black women. Tough as it pertains to protections for people being dismantled or eroded away. Tough as it pertains to corporate accountability. We're seeing layoffs that we don't really know are wholly legal. They're not retaliatory or discriminatory in some way. If they're not creating some type of disparate impact in some way. You know, it's just been tough. It's been tough in a variety of ways. And I look around and I'm like, man, why is stuff so doggone hard? I mean, listen, I'll tell you this. It's been tough as a small business owner. And in that, the scrutiny, not just around quote unquote DEI, but the scrutiny around all things people, all things human beings. I want to be clear. I'm not talking about, a Juneteenth picnic or a Pride webinar. I'm talking about anything that is invested in people or that would push an organization to invest in people, be it their employee or customer experience, is under scrutiny. That's odd to me, though. It's odd to me when we live in a society that is run by human beings. And yet we're in this moment where we're trying to extract as much value as we can, and we see people as the rag to wring, right? We really do. And yet we're still trying to somehow sell to people, but we don't want to treat people right. We don't want people to know that we're invested or engaged in their well-being. We don't want people to know that we want them to have an effective experience. We don't want people to be trained and enabled. We don't care about telling really engaging stories to attract people. Like, it's just odd. Like we're in this really strange place. It's been a tough year. And I've alluded to this. I've said it outright now for several years. The challenge in the moment that we're in is that we're looking down the barrel of late stage capitalism. And when we talk about living corporate, right? Like the idea behind living corporate when we started this podcast was all about centering and amplifying Black and brown voices at work. That was the initial goal. And it came from this idea of the fact that Black and brown people exist, marginalized people exist. And we are living in this world and we're navigating the world of work. And we owe it to ourselves to be treated with respect. We owe it to ourselves to be treated with dignity. We owe it to ourselves to advocate for ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to be sponsored. We owe it to ourselves to be effectively empowered and enabled to do the best that we can at work. We owe it to ourselves, right, to do that. And there are things that the corporate American system owes us, right? I know that sounds dangerous or threatening maybe to some people, but it's true. The work owes you things. It's not just a one-way street, right? Like you work and you show up and you give your expertise. Your job owes you safety. They owe you respect. They owe you a paycheck, and they owe you answers and transparency as how you navigate and matriculate through the organization and as you continue to build your career. And it's been interesting because over the past 8 years of Living Corporate being in existence, we've seen the pendulum swing back and forth, right? So we launched this podcast, and it's about 8 years, about 7 years, 7.5 years. We launched this podcast in 2018, right? So 2 years before the murder of George Floyd, before DEI was hyper in vogue, before blackness was hyper in vogue, before it was cool to talk about supporting black people at work. We were doing that. And then we saw we saw some reticence and we saw some nervousness around even just the topics that Living Corporate would cover. Then we saw the murder of George Floyd, and we saw Living Corporate grew a lot, right? So between like 2020 and 2022, we saw huge, like just serious growth. Podcast in terms of people wanting to work with us, people wanting to donate us money. I was like, we're not a nonprofit, we're actually a for-profit company. But we saw a lot of things change in that season. And then we saw Trumpism continue to return, right? We saw Trumpism return, and we saw all the quote unquote DEI is under attack. And we saw a reticence, we saw a retraction again on all things people. And like now things have gotten to such an extreme state that we're kind of back, we're worse than we started, right? In 2018. And like I said, though, we can make it about emotions and morality, but what I'm trying to articulate is it's clear to me that we're in this moment where the corporate class is looking to make one last run at the bank, and they're trying to extract as much wealth as possible. And it's at whatever expense, right? Like human beings losing their jobs, people going on LinkedIn and posting their GoFundMes, begging for any particular job, being on a wait list for DoorDash and Uber Eats, and being on a wait list to do the most menial of tasks. These are all acceptable damages, acceptable collateral damage for a corporate class that is trying to make as much money as humanly possible. In fact, dare I say, as much money as inhumanly possible. And it's odd, right? Because we're sitting in this moment where I'm literally all on LinkedIn every day because of what I do for a living. And I'm seeing like people who were directors and VPs talk about, hey, I have one more month before I'm going to have to leave my apartment, or, hey, I'm losing my car. Hey, my daughter and I are trying to find somewhere to live. Like I'm seeing these posts all the time. And then on the other hand, I'm seeing record profits, right? Like I'm seeing my 401k, I'm seeing my Roth IRA, I'm seeing my investment portfolios look crazy. And I'm not even like one of the top elite 1%. So I'm like, whoa, if this is what my stuff is doing, what is, you know what I'm, so like, I'm in this place where I'm just looking up and I'm realizing, I continue to realize, and I continue to be sadly affirmed in the reality that we are in an increasingly unstable season. Unemployment is at record highs. Again, record highs for Black folks and brown folks. And we haven't actually added any new jobs this year. And so what does that mean for y'all? Like the audience that listens to Living Corporate, right? The audience even that listens to Living Corporate continues to shift and change, because if you were listening to Living Corporate in 2018 or even 2020 or 2023, you were listening to Living Corporate on how to navigate the world of work. If you're listening to Living Corporate now, you're listening to Living Corporate about what is the future of work. If you're listening to Living Corporate now, you're trying to understand, how do I find work, right? And so we sit in this moment, and I want us to, if you're listening to this, I really want to challenge you to not take the systemic failure that's happening all around you and internalize it as some type of personal shortcoming. You have not failed. These systems are failing. You are a byproduct of failed late stage capitalist systems, and you cannot Excel certify your way out of this. You cannot AI your way out of this. You cannot extra education your way out of this. This is something that can only really be solved by working together and building community. And that's hard. That's hard to hear when you're staring down the barrel of a bunch of bills and you've applied to 2,000 jobs and got no responses, right? That's hard to hear. But the only sustainable remedy to capitalism is community. And so what does community look like in this moment, right? As we prepare for another year that all the economists say is going to be just as bad, if not worse than this year. what does community look like right now? Man, community looks like sharing information. Community looks like asking thoughtful questions and building with the people around you. Community looks like pursuing your dreams and trying to innovate and build something for yourself. Community looks like asking the right questions, networking, continuing to have those discussions, but going in with an attitude of what you can share as well as what you can receive. I want to shout out Cambrell Ward, who's the CEO and founder of Black Men in Tech. He's a great example of that. Living Corporate and Black Men in Tech, we've been in community. We're in communication. We talk. We share information. We share resources. We share contacts. We share successes. We share frustrations. We help one another. Cam is a great example of that. I'm going to always give him his flowers. And another great example of community is Tara May. Tara May and Tara Turk Haynes and Janice Gassam and Madison Butler, Angela Shaw. Like, there's so many people who I can say we help and support one another. We give of ourselves to one another because we know that if one of us wins, we're all winning, right? And that's counterintuitive to a world where we have been incentivized or propagandized to believe that individualism is the most virtuous way. But individualism is a lie that they sell to working class people to keep us separated and divided. We have to practice something different because what we've been trying to practice is literally on fire. And so the holidays, it's just tough. This is a holiday season. People are losing their jobs a couple weeks before Christmas or in the expanded holiday season. This is the moment, y'all. Like, I hope for the people that listen to this that have historically not been communal, who have not shared information, who have not shared their resources, who have not given from their lack, who have not taken the extra time and energy to support one another, but instead poured it only into themselves. It's going to be a harsh wake up call because it's hard to build community when you're struggling. It's better to build community in times of excess, but I'm telling you, build your community. Find like-minded people that you can lean on, that you can collaborate with, that you can build with, that may have a point of contact for you. Do not try to change and challenge and chase this thing on your own. You're going against a system that is doing its best to stay alive. Really, literally, right before I started recording, I see a politician, Steve Scalise, talking about deregulating even more things. Making the water even dirtier, making the air even dirtier, endangering more endangered species of animals. Because what we're looking at is we're looking at a political and corporate class that is doing its best to extract as much wealth as possible at our expense. Okay. I'm telling you something. Like, if you're listening to this, if you're like the 99% of people that listen to this podcast, you are being exploited. So do the best you can to reach across the aisle, engage and work with folks that look like you, who are in your same boat, meaning working class people. Swallow your pride and build with them, because continuing to knock on the door of corporate America begging for opportunities, we're seeing where that's at. The data shows that is not the wave. That is not the move. And I'm not saying that no one's hiring, that it's impossible to get a job. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that we are in a system and a moment where no one is actively out here handing them out. And so for you to survive, it's going to take a different type of creativity, building your own thing and working with others and figuring out ways that you can barter and support one another so that you can continue to move forward and you can thrive. And, I say that as somebody who's really passionate about community and relationship. I hope that you take the time, especially in this season, and you ask yourself, where can we lean in? Where can I support? Who can I build with? Who can I build relationship with? Where is my tribe? That's going to be the important thing that you figure out now so that you can be sustained in 2026. Listen, as I think about the rest of this year, Living Corporate, you're going to continue to see content. We don't really take season breaks, for those who don't know. We just continue forward. So we have plenty of content lined up. We're going to continue to be having conversations with entrepreneurs, activists, elected officials, influencers, artists, authors, educators. We're going to continue to do this work. We're still going to be, and I'm excited actually about some of the spotlights we're going to do, because we have some really great clients that we have worked with and that we continue to work with, that we've been blessed to partner with. So you're going to hear some really great stories of what we've been able to do with them. So again, shout out to Laura White at Result CX. Shout out to Angela Shaw at Amplify Credit Union. You know what I'm saying? Like, just shout out to the team. Shout out to Vivo Marketing. Just appreciate everybody. Appreciate the clients that we have. Shout out to Damien at Intuit. Just, shout out to the people that we continue to work with and we continue to do really dope work with. I'm just letting y'all know that, again, as I think about kind of like an end of the year message, this is where we're at, and it's not going to get any easier. So don't delude yourself into thinking that it is. Okay. I love y'all. Take care. Peace.
Living Corporate is a podcast by Living Corporate LLC. Our logo was designed by David Dawkins. Our theme music was produced by Ken Brown. Additional music production by Antoine Franklin for Musical Elevation. Post-production is handled by Jeremy Jackson. Got a topic suggestion? Email us at livingcorporatepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and living-corporate.com. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned.